The popular interview question, what are your greatest strengths, should be an extremely easy question to answer, in theory. After all, we know ourselves best, we know what our biggest strengths are, so why is this question still tripping up candidates during job interviews? Because, as you'll soon notice, it's actually pretty challenging to balance your humility with the need to project your successes and confidence. In this video, I first highlight 3 things you do not want to say when preparing for this interview question, share 3 actions you want to take instead, and end with an example answer that I gave years ago where I made these mistakes and what I would do differently today. So let's get started. Hi friends, welcome back to the channel. My name is Jeff, and if you're new here, I upload videos on practical career and interview tips. So if you're a current student or young professional, consider subscribing for more actionable content. Diving right into the 3 things you do not want to do when preparing for the what are your greatest strengths interview question. Number 1, do not mention a hard or technical skill as your biggest strength. You may well be an Excel guru. You could be someone who makes the most beautiful PowerPoint slides. You could even know the Salesforce CRM system back to front. The 2 biggest issues with mentioning how you're great with a particular piece of software is that number 1, one day your role may evolve in a direction where that product isn't relevant anymore. And number 2, the company you're interviewing with may be using an alternative solution. To give an oversimplified example, imagine if you're interviewing for a project management role and you said your greatest strength was how familiar you are with Monday.com, the project management software. Little do you know, the company is actually using Notion or Asana for all their project management needs. Furthermore, there might be a lot of professionals in your target company who have been working with that product or software for much longer than you have. So saying how that technical skill is one of your greatest strengths might come off as a little bit presumptuous. Instead, what you want to do is to prepare something I call transferable skills as your strengths, because those can be applied across a variety of responsibilities and can grow with you as you progress in your role. Let's say you're interviewing for an entry-level position in the sales team as an account manager, and you say 2 of your bigger strengths are that you're honest and that you're respectful of others. Those are very healthy attributes to have as an account manager when you're dealing with clients every day. And when you progress to be a people manager, those are still extremely important strengths to have when managing a team. And as a bonus to you all, I'm actually going to add a list of transferable skills that will make great strengths down in the description below. By the way, if you like that first tip, I actually have a Facebook group where I share exclusive weekly tips. So consider joining if you haven't already. I'll link that down below as well. Moving on to number 2. Do not talk about a strength that's irrelevant to the role you're applying for. Can you imagine interviewing for an accounting role and telling the interviewer how amazing you are at creative thinking? I mean, no offense to all the creative accountants out there. You could prepare a great response with the right numbers, the right story, the perfect amount of impact that you made. But the interviewer will still just be thinking, wow, this person did not do the research. Instead, make sure to mention strengths that have a direct application to the job you're applying for. Think about it this way. The interviewers know the qualities that the high performers already have, right? So if you're able to say a strength that makes a connection in the interviewer's mind between yourself and the high performers on their team, they will start to unconsciously think about how you'd perform on the job. And I'm gonna say an unpopular opinion right now. The best way to find a relevant strength to talk about is not through the job description because they're often just too vague, but rather asking someone who's working there already. In today's day and age, where everyone is so interconnected, there's really no excuse not to network and not to connect with other professionals through virtual means. Watch my videos on how to properly connect with others on LinkedIn and questions to ask during informational interviews or coffee chats. You don't even need to hop on a phone call. Finding a relevant strength could be as simple as sending a polite message to an existing contact with something like, "Hi, sorry to bother you, but if you could think back to a recent hire on your team who you really enjoyed working with, what made them stand out?" That question will prompt them to think of specific attributes that you can leverage in your own answer. If you're enjoying this video so far, a like and sub to the channel would be amazing. Finally, the 3rd thing you want to avoid doing. Don't rely completely on the STAR answer format when preparing your story. When preparing stories to back your strengths up, you might be tempted to use the situation, task, action, results format to structure your answer. But as I mentioned in a previous video where I compare the STAR and CARL methods, for questions that require you to reflect on your experiences, questions such as what are your biggest strengths, you want to make sure to include your learnings as part of your answer. The L in Carl. I actually made this mistake when I was interviewing a couple years ago, so let's jump into my answer from back then and show you what I would do differently today. Not that I'm interviewing right now or anything. So to prove to you I'm not making this up, this is a document that I was using to prepare for my interviews a couple years back. As you can see, I have input some behavioral interview questions like why are you a good candidate, why you, why are you leaving EY, I was a management consultant with Ernst & Young before this, and here we go, what are your strengths? So I basically followed the STAR format completely here. I said one of my greatest strengths is that I have strong communication skills, and for the experience that I gave, the situation was I was working with a Big Four advertising agency here in Shanghai, one of our large clients. The task was the fact that there were compliance issues at that branch and we were supposed to decrease that. The action that I took was because I had strong communication skills, I had a good working relationship with the CFO and the ground staff. So one of my proposals was less extreme than the plan we were going to adopt. So I was able to sort of influence the key stakeholders to adopt my plan. And the result rather is the fact that the number of compliance issues decreased because of my proposal. So that wasn't necessarily a bad answer, but if I were using the Carl method, I would have included a learnings at the end here and summarized how it was because of my strong communication skills that I was able to influence the CFO to go another route, which ultimately led to a fewer number of compliance issues. That would have emphasized my biggest strength in this case, as opposed to just ending with a result to the what's your biggest strength interview question. That might sound like a very small thing, but a subtle adjustment like that can make quite a big difference. All right, and there you have it. 3 things not to do when preparing for the what are your greatest strengths interview question and what to do instead. If you want to come up with strong answers to the most common behavioral interview questions, check out this playlist where I break down each one and provide sample answers. Subscribe if you haven't already, comment down below if you have any questions, and as usual, have a great one.